Here are 7 tips to help you out in your playing experience of F1 23 My Team Career Mode. Now, admittedly, a lot of these tips are going to be pretty much the same tips I gave out last year for F1 22 because nothing's changed in My Team Career Mode apart from some balances and stability improvements. But I know also that year on year there are always new people playing the F1 game, which is brilliant, and so that means new people that are playing F1 My Team Career Mode. Number 1, upgrade weight reduction first. This will not only make your car feel better in the corners at every single circuit, but also improve your acceleration out of them and also your top line speed, which is a key thing to overtaking AI. Now, on F1 23, there wasn't the same problem we all faced last year on F1 22, where the AI were OP, overpowered in a straight line. That's not an issue anymore, but it still helps to have a good car in a straight line. So focus on weight reduction first, and then move your attention to drag reduction, ERS, and DRS upgrades. And actually, DRS, it may seem like a small upgrade, but don't skip out on a DRS upgrade. They're actually so powerful to help you, but also your teammate, your AI teammate, to actually make overtakes and actually do well in the races himself. And speaking about your teammate, that brings us on to number 2. Train your teammate. Focus on boosting, ironically, his focus in the game as much as possible. So in the activity timeline, you'll sometimes get some events that can maybe boost your teammate's focus or maybe another attribute, but I would always try and lean towards the focus booster, because it doesn't matter how good his other stats are. If he's a high focus, he will actually maximize his potential. You could have a highly rated teammate over 80 or 90 overall. If their focus is as low as 40, they're not going to perform well. They're going to be very shy on making overtakes. So make sure you try and boost the focus as much as possible, and overall, don't skip out on personnel upgrades. Number 3 is going to be pay attention to your answers in the opening interview segment, okay? Because you may just think, oh, it's a nice little cutscene, just kind of getting us into the career mode. But if you look closely, the answers you give will actually start you off then on those facilities. If you answer everything praising the aerodynamics department, you will find that you're one level higher on the aero facility than other departments, and you'll have more upgrades default to start with on the aero side. So think about that carefully. And so that kind of links into point number 2. I tend to lean towards the chassis complementing the chassis side and aero to kind of get a spread and get a head start on weight reduction, weight redistribution, and then also the drag reduction on the aero side. Number 4, very much do use quick practice. Practice isn't the most exciting thing ever, and I agree with you. I tend not to do practice ever, but I do use quick practice, the little mini games, to try and earn the most R&D possible, especially if, you know, you're starting out and you actually put the settings where the AI get more R&D points than you. Then to try and recoup that loss, use the quick practice sessions, use the mini game to its fullest extent to try and maximize R&D points. And actually, if you followed my earlier tip about boosting the personnel upgrades for your teammate, you'll actually start finding your teammate earning just as many R&D points as you in the practice session. So they all kind of work in synergy, these kind of tips, to try and boost your entire experience and get you from the bottom to the top of My Team Career Mode in terms of performances. Also at the same time, once you're a couple of seasons in, quick practice also saves you a lot of time. It's, you know, from the get-go, if you don't have a lot of time anyway with work or uni or school, quick practice, great way to get through it and not miss out on R&D points. Number 5, be sure to somewhat spread your HQ facility upgrades though evenly to avoid bottlenecks. Personnel doesn't really count, so you can always focus on that, but the performance aspects, the aero, chassis, engine, try and make sure that if you're upgrading one to another level, you're going to try and match another one to that level before you go on for a further level to that first facility. What I mean by that is if you're like level 3 on the engine and only level 1 on chassis, you'll eventually find you're bottlenecking the car because your chassis just can't keep up with the engine. Not just in terms of the upgrades you've got available to yourself, and you're going to have to wait until you can earn enough money to upgrade that facility to finally get onto level 2, but in terms of the actual car performance. If you have a car that's level 3 on the facilities for the engine and it's like going like an absolute rocket ship in a straight line, fine. The problem is, if your chassis is low enough and your aero is low enough, you're not going to have a good enough car to turn that rocket ship into the corners, and vice versa. If you don't keep up your engine upgrades, doesn't matter how good you are in the corners, the feeling of the car in the corners, you just won't match the AI in straight line speed down the road, because they definitely make sure they keep up with engine upgrades. Number 6, upgrade marketing as early as you can, as seems reasonable. What I mean by that is, if you get to a point where you feel like the car's at a good level, let's say towards the end of season 1, and you have a bit of cash there, and you're just very close to affording the marketing upgrade, I would go ahead and upgrade that, because in the long run, you're investing in getting more cash and getting more acclaim. And the more acclaim you get, the more cash you'll get. The more cash you have, the more upgrades you can get. So invest in marketing early on, and it's going to pay you dividends for the entire career mode. So again, marketing, more acclaim, more cash, more facility upgrades. Boom, your car's better. And finally, my last tip, and this is, you know, not just for beginners, this tip. This is for veterans of the F1 game, this last tip. Savor this great handling model we have on this year's game. One, for the fact it's so much nicer to drive than F1 22, but also because there's no improvements to the My Team Career Mode game mode. So you may as well try and make the most and get the most enjoyment out of the handling model, because that's the only new upgrade we've got to the game mode. So that and red flags, and apparently 35% races counts as an upgrade to the mode. So yeah, savor the handling model, because that's the biggest upgrade we've got to this game mode. So yeah, those are my 7 tips to elevate your experience in F1 23 My Team Career Mode. If you are a beginner, I really hope these help you out, and you can have a pretty decent journey with this game in your career mode. Savor, let me know if you do find them handy down the line, and if you did find the info informative and enjoy the video, be sure to hit that like button. If you are new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, and I'll catch you guys around. Goodbye.